Welcome to the Popcorn Talk Network, for the online broadcast network that features movie discussion, news, and interviews. Press 1. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
Congratulations. On behalf of the Popcorn Talk Network, the online broadcast network for movie talk, and the Schmoes know, you are now a member of the Jedi Alliance. May the Force be with you, always.
As Supreme Leader Snoke almost once said, there has been an awakening in Star Wars fandom. Welcome to Jedi Alliance. There is so much for us to talk about. A celebration of the greatest saga ever told is what Jedi Alliance is, and there's a lot for us to celebrate this week. I am one of your hosts. My name is Joseph Scrimshaw, and your other host is...
I am the Internet Soapbox Mark Donica. You can find me on Twitter at SoapboxMark. Joseph's right. We do have a huge show for you today. A whole bunch of mix and match things. No real set theme. We got some news. Talking about Halloween, because it's coming up. Horror in Star Wars. And, of course, Star Wars Rebels just started up, so we're going to talk about the first couple of episodes. But first, we have our wonderful guest joining us.
That's right. We have from Geek Girl Authority, Audrey Kearns.
Hi.
It's a wonderful returning guest. Thanks for coming back, Audrey.
Thank you for having me.
And first time on the show, Emma Fyffe. Is that the correct pronunciation of your name?
That is the correct pronunciation
Nailed
of my
it.
name. Yeah, it's
Yes.
like the instrument or the place in Scotland.
I was thinking it was
yeah.
Welsh. It's not Welsh?
No, it's
Oh,
Scottish.
It's
yeah.
Scottish, okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to start just asking guests on podcasts. Can you not tell me your last name, but what it sounds
Yes.
like?
Yeah, what it sounds like, and please give me the etymology of your last name
What
as well.
instruments or liquors does your last name sound like? Emma Fyffe, and you are on many, many Afterbuzz shows.
I am, yes, including Star Wars Rebels. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about Rebels. We also got some great questions on the segment we've been doing for the last couple of weeks, Mind Probe, and we asked for specific Force Awakens questions. So we'll be having some fun speculation and thoughts and opinions and whatnot on The Force Awakens. But should we get into the horror?
Awakens?
I mean, if you wanted to present the rest of the show as that, I mean, we can, but...
Yeah, I love Halloween, so I thought it'd be fun to just talk a little bit about kind of how horror is works and appears in Star Wars.
Yeah, I mean, they're not overtly horror movies, but we've sort of taken our 5 Star Wars questions and changed them to the 5 Halloween questions for this episode. And the first episode, we'll open it up to the panel here. Who's the scariest character in Star Wars?
I mean, I saw the Star Wars movies when I was a child. Like, I had seen all 3 of the original trilogy. By the time I was 4, I want to say, as a child, I was absolutely petrified of the Emperor. Just scariest thing I'd ever seen in my life. However, when I watched Empire Strikes Back for the very first time, I was so scared of the Wampa that I had to stop.
Yes.
I had to just walk away and then later skip that scene so that I could continue to watch the rest of the movie.
I think it is the biggest sort of like horror jump moment in the original trilogy, certainly. It's shot like a horror movie where it looks like everything's fine. Oh, no, it's not.
Not okay.
There's
not
a
okay.
shape.
Yeah. And even today when I was just like Googling pictures of it, I was like, yeah, this is still terrifying. I am almost 30 and I am still totally terrified
I
of this
remember
thing.
my mother warning other parents on the block, like, yeah, they really like that Star Wars movie, but there's some fur thing that comes out of nowhere.
Wicket, I know. Just
out of control.
Audrey, how about you? For you, who's the scariest character in Star Wars?
You know, I'm in the original Star Wars generation. I'm that old where I saw it in the theater, you know, and so, you know, Vader, of course, is like my default scariest, but I have to agree, it's Palpatine, even in the prequels. I mean, he is the kind of evil, it doesn't matter how loyal you are to him, he will behead you, you know.
Yeah.
He will have someone like, you know, what happened to Count Dooku and all that kind of stuff,
Right.
who was totally loyal. He's just all kinds of evil and is not going to change.
Yeah, he will hurt you and then laugh at you.
Exactly.
Which I think all
He
children are
he
fine
gets-
of.
He's a sociopath, basically.
Yeah.
He's a sociopath.
Yeah. Mark, do you have a...
I mean, as a kid, definitely the Emperor, but for about 20 minutes, the first time I saw Gamorrean Guard, because it was this big green pig thing with a giant axe,
And a fur diaper,
and then it was crying as it got eaten, and then that sort of went away.
Yeah.
But definitely Palpatine.
It has emotions.
See,
I'm sure.
See, I think for me, I viewed that as sort of like a Ninja Turtles character, so I wasn't as put off by that. But I understand where you're coming
Green
from on
Rocksteady.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I think Darth Maul just objectively. Like,
Yeah,
I was,
Yeah.
you know, never terrified of him, but he's just he's Satan. There's no. It's like I don't have much to say. I'm real mad. I got horns and a lightsaber with 2 blades.
And red and black skin. I mean, it's very
tattoos,
frightening.
but yes.
It's 11.
Whatever.
But that makes it actually worse. Of like, I did this to myself on purpose to scare you.
I made myself look like this.
Yeah.
That's legit.
Okay, so our next question is, what do you guys think the scariest moment in Star Wars is? What's like the most horror-like moment in all of...
Going back to seeing it in the theater as like a 6 or 7, and oh God, I had nightmares. Is the garbage compactor?
Oh yes,
okay.
On the Death Star.
Terrifying.
You know all that stuff in your head. You know the unseen, like you can't see under the water, but you just knew something was under there.
Right.
And then in addition to it compacting, that gave me nightmares.
Yeah.
The Dianoga. I'm glad you brought that
yeah.
up because I love talking about this because I feel like we would never think of Star Wars as horror movies, but there are so many elements of that kind of tension and that kind of storytelling
exactly.
that exists.
And in that scene in particular, it's like the walls are closing in on them, and there's also something in the
it's not just
it's
one
like
thing.
Space Saw.
It's Space Saw.
The laser coming up.
Do you have a different answer? Do you agree with that one?
I mean,
Emma?
I totally agree with that one. I mean, for me, once again, as I previously mentioned, I could not continue to watch Empire Strikes Back after Luke got nabbed by the Wampa. So that was pretty terrifying to me as a child.
Yeah.
Also, the fight between Luke and Vader at the end of Empire is, there's so much tension in that scene. And again, this goes back to a lot of things. When I was a kid, I really liked stuff that I found kind of scary. And so, like, even though Empire Strikes Back terrified me overall, it was my favorite of the trilogy.
That suspense is what makes it my favorite lightsaber duel. It's so frightening for Luke. I would say that moment or Vader's first appearance.
Oh yeah, when he blasts through.
Blasts through, comes through, sees all the deads, like, yup, not even caring, and then throwing the dude against the wall. Just that whole first introduction of him is just
that's like the angriest we see Vader, like in even his delivery. I think to give the prequels a little bit of love, the moment where we see the mask coming on, and we see the fear in Anakin's face of like, oh, what have I done?
I made mistakes.
or
I'm locked in.
One of just the last shots of how literally darkened his eyes look.
Yeah,
it's just like, oh, this is bad. This is bad. You poor child.
Yeah.
Why would you fall that far?
I also wanted to give just a shout out to the Clone Wars episodes, Legacy of Terror and Brain Invaders. If you haven't watched the Clone Wars, those were the episodes that got me really excited about it because basically it is Star Wars zombies. So if you haven't watched those, check those out. It's really cool. That shows you like the huge palette of what Star Wars can be. Next, should we go to the next?
Yeah, the next one. Have you ever dressed as a Star Wars character for Halloween?
I feel like I missed so many opportunities to do so as a child. My brother was Darth Vader one Halloween, and then my mom this Halloween made a Yoda costume for one of our friends' children. But I personally never did dress as a Star Wars character. And the thing is, I grew up in Connecticut, where sometimes it would have snowed before Halloween. So I really missed an opportunity to be Princess Leia. Or I was going to say Princess Leia on Hoth, but that's fine. Snowtrooper, Princess Leia, it's all good.
Anything that's bundled up.
Yeah, exactly.
How about you, Audrey?
Well, I'm going to bring it down. No, I'm not. When I was a kid, everyone was going to dress up like Princess Leia, but I was like so much taller than all the girls and the boys that I was a little too self-conscious to dress as Leia. Like the dress would be too short for me and the wig wouldn't fit and I'm not as pretty as the other girls, so I decided to go as a pirate instead and use my mother's makeup as a beard. Because I really like the eye patch. But if I was there, I did. It was really cool. Always wanted to wear one. But if I was to dress up like, say now, go to a convention cosplay, I think I would just do a very nice tailored or Han Solo because it's comfortable. And I'm all about comfort. And he's got the most comfortable wardrobe.
Right. Yeah, it's easy and casual. Yeah. Dress casual.
Yeah. I did not either. Again, missed opportunities. They always seemed so nice. Like, unless you had just like a brown sheet and you could be a Jawa or something. No, unfortunately, no. The closest thing that I would have is just whipping my lightsaber around. That would be the only thing.
You just walk down the street, trick or treat, waving your lightsaber?
I was a Jedi Pee Wee Herman one year. That was pretty great.
Nice.
I was confused.
I had a similar problem. I grew up in Minnesota, and often it would suddenly get too cold on Halloween to be practical. I was going to be Robin once, and then I had to put all these clothes on. And it just has green jeans and like a dirty pillowcase right around his neck. It's kind of, but I did get really excited at the concept of dressing up as Luke. And back in the day, they had like cool Star Wars just masks that you could wear, which is great for
Oh,
like
yeah.
Vader or Stormtrooper. But
I remember
Luke
those.
is just Mark Hamill's face, kind of. So it was just, I just looked like a little psychopath. Like I'm just, all bundled up, and then I'm wearing Mark Hamill's face.
With the
Give me
slits,
yes.
the weird like side eye slits.
Yeah.
The thin elastic that keeps catching your hair.
And you try to breathe through the mouth, and the inside
all
of Mark Hamill's
sweat.
lips just gets sweaty and sticky. It's really horrifying and disturbing. But doing comedy, I've had an opportunity to dress up as a lot of different Star Wars characters.
Yeah.
My favorite is for a show I played Count Dooku with my friend, but I was just the top half of Count Dooku to get him tall enough, so I rode on my friend's shoulders. And I had this huge
Probably a
dress.
sweet cape though.
It was a sweet cape, the
Yeah.
longest cape you can
Did you have
ever
like a nice
see.
long wig, like Christopher Lee?
Yeah.
No,
All right. I would like that.
but it was a sweet ass cape, as Mark said. All right, final question? No.
No, we got one more.
Oh,
before
yeah.
that.
No, excellent. Sorry.
Trying to get this out of the way.
I know. What do you think a Star Wars horror movie would look like? What kind of character or world would support that?
I mean, all I'm going to say is that if this was like a Sci-Fi Channel original movie, kind of horror movie, Jar Jar Binks would be that annoying friend that you're like real happy when he dies.
Or he stays alive till the very
Right,
end.
exactly, and it just drives you crazy. Yeah, it can go either way with the Sci-Fi Channel original horror
His
films.
innocence might save him, right?
That's
Right.
so true.
Okay, I've thought about this.
Okay.
I've thought about this. Okay, I'm just gonna say there's some teenagers, right? There's some teenagers on a planet, and it's like their time. They're gonna go stay in a haunted house, right? Except they get on a ship and they go to the destroyed Death Star, the skeleton of the Death Star.
nice.
And the bet is, can you stay 24 hours in the destroyed Death Star? And there's all kinds of, is it haunted? Maybe there's some remnant. There's people left there, or the dark side is there, and then the Diagonal.
Dianoga? Yeah.
Dianoga, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
You can get caught in, like totally like what you just said, like Saw in space.
Yeah.
Everybody's trapped. And people, like, are your friends going to turn to the dark side and end up killing you? Are you going to get out together? I think that would be a great
Yeah, that's awesome.
Just a whole bunch of force energy.
I was going to
Yeah.
say,
in space.
and the Death Star is like their equivalent of the abandoned house by the graveyard.
Yeah, exactly.
Throw rocks at it and break
exactly.
the windows. Yeah.
But it's the house and the graveyard.
all in one. Yeah.
I'm a big proponent of like ghost ship type of things. Really big fan of like Dead
Nice.
Space. So that really like that. I was just gonna say I was gonna be funny and say Dengar's life story. That would probably be really, really scary.
And our one fan who has the Dengar tattoo
Damn it!
shakes her fist in
'cause
anger.
Then it'll be like the Universal Mummy movie.
Yeah.
We'll find out how we got in all of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it could just be a lot of sad people's life stories and a different kind of horror, a sort of slow, foreboding horror.
Indie horror sort of
But
thing.
yeah, I think I was thinking of it more as a little bit the Resident Evil feel of not knowing what's around the corner.
Yeah.
But definitely the same thing. And I think it would be cool if it was like a haunted dark side force place, but non-force users there for sure.
Right.
Like, yeah, like maybe that's a great young Han Solo movie.
Yeah.
Probably not the one we're going to get, but
But that could be like a fear that he's carried since he's a kid of being in this force dark side
Yeah.
thing. Be like, no, it's all fake.
not real.
It's all fake. It's
not
not real.
real.
Yeah, I can see that.
I didn't see Darth Bane pop out at me.
Jeez. So what do you guys think would be the perfect Halloween party in the Star Wars universe?
I just feel like the tourist level of Cloud City would be like Vegas Halloween.
Yeah,
You know?
all the best
That's
clubs would just
Yeah,
be popping.
they would just be popping
And they probably have some great specials for you to go stay there.
yes, exactly.
It's their annual Halloween party.
Dude, Lobot would be spinning. It would be great.
No, I think Lobot's a terrible DJ. I think that's sadder than anything having to do with Dengar.
Fair. He's got those sweet beats on his head, though.
He does. He's got the DJ beats built right in.
Yeah.
But I think he would only play like really sad Joni Mitchell songs from the 70s.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sad.
The Star Wars party doesn't sound very fun anymore, actually.
No.
Just Lobot's party. Just Lobot's party.
Where in the Star Wars universe do you think would throw another great?
Well, like I said with the Han Solo costume, I'd like to go for comfort. So I would say, everybody, I'd say they are so used to the Empire, so everyone come dressed up as a stormtrooper because that's all they know. And then it's kind of like
right,
it's a really
That's
dirty.
like that. That's like their equivalent
Yeah.
of dressing as like an army man.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
it could also be like a really dirty party because you don't know who anybody else is. It's like a masquerade, or it could be
Right.
like a furry party. Who knows?
Those are two widely different options. Dress up as stormtroopers or big giant Ewoks.
Go ahead, anything. Yeah.
Son of a biscuit. Oh, jeez. I would think Jabba would throw a great party on the barge.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet he would.
I have to, because I was thinking about that too, and I was like, I know that there was, like, Jabba the Hutt was bad, but his parties looked fun, man.
Invite only. It would be one of these guys like, dude, I know somebody who can get us in a Jabba's party.
Yeah.
What?
Dude, let's go. I don't even have a costume, but let's go.
But
Let's
yeah,
put something together.
unless Return of the Jedi was lying to us, there's only one droid serving drinks.
Yeah.
So he would have to
Oh,
get
that would really
more
get
Get some more
drives.
stuff. But the
Yeah.
question is, would Jabba's party be like a Playboy Mansion party?
That's what I'm thinking.
I think it would. He would be the Hugh Hefner
Yeah.
of the Star Wars.
Gross Hugh Hefner.
Super gross, super gross. The Halloween party that I would want to see is at the Jedi Temple, where they all just switch robes. Say, guess which Jedi I am.
This is why you don't let Mace Windu.
I think Mace Windu would
Yeah.
get cranky. He wouldn't be
Yeah.
willing to play. He
No.
would not be willing to play at all.
No, especially if he had to switch his lightsaber.
No.
Nope.
This weapon is your life.
So it's a little
Sorry,
bit
you
of
saying it's like a key party? Like everyone put their lightsabers in a bowl? When you,
oh
who's
yeah,
there.
when you
yeah.
walk in.
Yeah, giant. I think they should be able to sense it through the force.
Right, yeah,
like,
that's
oh
true.
man, I got Master Mace's lightsaber.
Darn it.
He's not going to be fun. So that's a little bit of frivolous and some real horror in the Star Wars galaxy. We're going to move on to news from the Holonet. There is a lot of stuff that has happened the last couple of weeks. We've been busy kind of covering the trailer and other things like that. So we want to talk a little bit about some other things that have happened in the last couple of weeks, starting with all of the sort of statistics of the reaction to the trailer and some of the statistics of the ticket sales. A lot of records were broken. 128 million views globally in the first 24 hours of the trailer, and that's kind of like across all of the different platforms. Fandango pre-sales were 8 times higher than any previous record holder, which was the Hunger Games was the best before that, but 8 times higher than the Hunger Games. And the IMAX presale was at 6.5 million. The previous record was around 1 million. So we've been talking a lot on the show about box office predictions. And it's been a fascinating discussion because people feel really strongly about it. Either just like, well, of course, it's going to be the best-selling movie ever. Mm-hmm. And other people are like, come on, let's get realistic. You guys are going nuts with your predictions. What do you guys think? Do you think all of these broken records from the trailer in the pre-sales, do they indicate just the excitement of super strong fans, or do they indicate general interest as well?
My inclination is it is general interest. I mean, I have a friend who, amongst his crew, who he kind of organized to buy tickets for the show, they bought $640 worth of tickets.
Oh my
Okay, I thought you were going to
goodness.
say 640 tickets.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
No one has that many friends.
No, but they bought $640 worth of tickets for that Thursday at the ArcLight over in Sherman Oaks.
Okay.
And I feel like not everybody in this group is like a diehard Star Wars fan.
Right.
I feel like there a lot. I mean, this is my feeling. I feel like to some extent everybody likes Star Wars, and this is a movie that even if you're not a really big fan of the franchise, there's going to be a lot of cultural significance.
Absolutely.
So I don't think we're off by saying this is going to break all kinds of box office records.
I don't either. I fall into that camp for sure. And I mean, I think Hunger Games is going to kill it. No pun intended.
Literally.
But it's more, it is a very specific demographic and audience, where Star Wars, like you said, it's the demographic is gigantic. You know, you have people like me who are over 40 who have kids, so
Yeah.
I'm damn right I'm gonna go see it, but I'm gonna bring my kid too, and a whole new audience. So and plus people who say, you know, there's Marvel fanatics and they can't wait for every movie, but there are people that just want to go see Iron Man, and I think it's gonna be the same with Star Wars, and I do think it's gonna break every single record. I think it's gonna be amazing.
And Audrey, I think you bring up a really good point too about, you know, you bringing your kids to see the movie. Is you're dealing with multiple generations of fans, particularly for Star Wars, because, you know, you have the people that watched the original trilogies in theater, you have the people that are sort of in my age
so there's
range.
this generation in between as well.
And you know, when I was a teenager is when the prequels were coming out in theaters, and so it already spans multiple generations, and people of my generation also have their own kids now, so, you know, it speaks across a very wide range of people.
Yeah, I think the main demographic who don't want to go will be people who are just like, enough.
Yeah.
Like, stop
And I'm
talking
sure there's
about
gonna
Star
be-
Wars.
yeah, there's gonna
It's
be
inevitable
those
to be a
people
little
for
bit of a backlash.
I think now that we have kind of proof about how much it's been selling, we're just going to have that baseline that's only going to be gained upon by the general movie-going audience.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. So, do you guys? We've been collecting box office predictions. The domestic opening weekend record is Jurassic World with 208 million.
Yeah.
Some of the predictions we've had on the show is 500 billion. Not possible.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Have some faith.
So
Have some
Not too
faith.
far
a
off.
little bit more in the realistic. We're looking for more realistic predictions than 500 billion.
You know, my inclination is like 350 or 400 million, maybe, like almost twice Jurassic World, because I feel like, I mean, people love Jurassic Park, but I just feel like more people love Star Wars.
There was a lot more reticence with Jurassic World.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's a bigger drop off. I think from
opening weekend.
Yeah,
opening weekend.
yeah.
Well, I guess we're talking about specifically
Yeah.
opening weekend.
Yeah, I don't think anybody
opening
debates
weekend.
that the movie is going to have legs because
Yeah.
that's a
Oh,
proven
yeah.
thing
Yeah.
of December of it. You know, it will roll.
And,
it's more the opening weekend.
And
I
is there
think.
any information like on how many screens? Is it going to be on more screens than Jurassic World?
I don't. I don't
you know?
immediately have that, but I think so
would think
because
so.
I mean every theater
Yeah.
that I looked at is playing it through starting Thursday and then just the showings don't stop. The theaters aren't
2:59.
closing.
2:59.
2:59.
I've come to my.
I don't know. It's going up against the Alvin and the Chipmunks for Road Chip.
That's some tough
yeah.
competition, right?
Is that the only other one for that weekend?
I
you
think
know?
the
far as I
fact
know.
that the subtitle is Road Chip just automatically adds $100 million to Star Wars.
It's no squeakquel. I'll just say that. I'll just say that.
Parents will be shoving their kids into the toddlers into that
wanna
movie
watch Star
and
Wars,
going over to
fine.
Star
Get
Wars.
in there.
Just go in. I'm going over
Yeah,
to
I
Star
mean,
Wars.
what cruel parents? Because like most kids are going to be like, I saw Star Wars, and
There's going to be that one kid at school that's like, I saw
Alvin and the Chipmunks.
my 32-year-old dad is a hipster who hates Star Wars, and he made me see Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Huge Jason Lee fan though, so that's, he just has to see everything that he's in.
Oh my goodness.
Shortly while ago, that's a sentence, we had the Force Awakens playset from Disney Infinity revealed. I am an avid Disney Infinity fan, and it has been stated many times on the show, but I like the look of the characters. Those are 3 of the 4 that are announced. Poe, Rey, Finn, and I was gonna say Darth something. Why would I do that?
It's not Darth.
No, it is not. It is Kylo Ren. My brain is just all over the place right now. They usually release like 4 or 5 5 or 6 figures per set, so there may be some characters we don't know about yet that they might release. But do you think this will be the only way to be involved in the story of The Force Awakens, or do you think we'll see anything else?
Do you know if Battlefront is releasing content? I mean, I know you can fight on Jakku, but
As of right now, it's just
Yeah.
Jakku, but they've announced a season pass,
Okay.
but nothing about the season pass.
Right.
So we'll probably see some of the dogfighting that we've
Yeah.
seen in the trailers, but as of right now, we don't know about any boots on the ground type of stuff yet.
cool. So,
Right.
but Infinity, you play through narratives if you want, right?
Yeah.
You play as the characters in the events as they happen. So I know a guy, unfortunately, who got the whole movie spoiled for him because he was on the dev team.
Wow.
So he didn't get a chance to sit in the theater and experience everything. It was pretty sad.
Oh, what a bummer.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. But we do have all the original voices returning for the game, so it's
Oh,
not
wow.
gonna,
That's
it's not going to
awesome.
sound different. It's all a part of the contracts now for video games as
That's
they get
great.
the actors staying in.
Yeah.
And it'll straight up be the narrative, but it'll be like a truncated version.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really interesting to me. I think that the game, there used to always be a game just based on the movie because people knew that would sell, but then of course they're always rushed, so they're always bad.
Right, yeah.
And I feel like they're just dying and going away, and the only way if you want to like relive the movie by playing through it in a video game is things like Infinity.
Yeah.
Yeah, Disney Infinity started out as a model for Disney's video games in the future.
Yeah.
So now anytime there's like a live action or an animated movie, there's going to be something Infinity for it.
Yeah.
Right, and it's always going to be at least some element of narrative where you
Yeah.
can march through this story. That's really cool.
I was going to say, I think in terms of really playing through the narrative, I think I almost hope that Disney Infinity is the only thing that we get because, you know, it's as you mentioned, like in the past, you know, there'd always be like
The Dark Ages.
a Sega Genesis version of this movie that just came out and it would not be good.
Yeah.
Jaws on the Nintendo was good though.
I did play the Phantom Menace game for PlayStation 1, as I've mentioned before, and that it was not a good video game
Yeah.
at all,
Yeah.
but it had great backstory
that's the thing
about
is-
which pod racers were drunkards.
But and that's the thing is that, you know, with Star Wars, there's a lot of other Star Wars video games into which they can, you know, we're talking about Battlefront, into which they can incorporate Force Awakens, you know, vehicles or characters or locations, but not necessarily the narrative itself.
Yeah.
And I think that it's kind of more fun to just see how we can explore the Awakens environments within the context of a different game.
Cool.
I agree with that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know that I will have a hard time shutting off this part of my brain when I'm watching The Force Awakens, but I'll be watching for the scenes that are a pain to play in a video game.
Yes.
Because I know there's going to be something like, that looks so cool. I don't want to fly through that.
Yeah.
I don't want to fight that
I
boss
don't,
monster.
want to be Finn just running away from Kylo Ren.
Yeah.
Just constantly running into trees and then.
Yeah. So this is a little while back. Casting for episode 8, Gugu Mbatha Raw was cast for episode 8. We believe that's not entirely 100% confirmed at any of the sort of standard places, but it is being reported as confirmed by a lot of places. She's listed on IMDb and Wikipedia. So
So
you know,
it's true.
There you go.
It's true.
you know it's true.
Yeah.
Are you guys excited for this casting?
I mean, first of all, she's got a bad A name. They may as well just keep
Yeah.
it as,
Yeah,
as her
exactly.
the character
pretty
in
Star
Star
Wars.
Wars.
It's a pretty great Star Wars
You
name.
know, and I'm sure she's going to be great. I'm sure she's a great actress. I just am so upset that Tatiana Maslany keeps not getting roles. 'Cause
Yeah.
I know she was up for the same thing too.
Well, and there's
right?
discussion about whether or not she didn't get it or decided she signed up for a movie about the Boston marathon bombing.
Oh, really?
So there's some discussion. Nobody knows. There's some
Yeah.
thoughts about. Well,
Speculation.
maybe she decided not to take it, but I agree. I think Tatiana Maslany is amazing.
Yeah,
I would like
I'd love
to see
to
her
see her in that
the
world.
Star Wars world.
Yeah.
I think it's a matter of time. They
Yeah.
want her to be a part of it so bad, it'll probably be an anthology movie or something.
Yeah.
I hope
yeah.
so. I hope so.
Yeah. I just love that we're seeing all of these awesome women popping up in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep doing that.
Yeah,
I
and
love
there's
it.
talk that there still could be another large female
Yeah.
role that's being cast
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
Star Wars Episode 8.
Yeah.
Do you guys have thoughts on who the character will be or desires?
No idea. I have no idea.
I would love to see sort of a scoundrelly girl kind of character.
Yeah.
You know, a girl that's more like a Han Solo or like a Lando. So it would be really fun if she, because you know there's some speculation that Lando might show up in episode 8 to sort of parallel how he originally showed up in episode 5. So it'd be fun if like she was a buddy of his or something like a cohort.
I like that idea. I like
A buddy? You mean like a friend or
No, like a cohort, like a
Awesome.
like a co-conspirator. I hesitate to say co-worker.
He's still at
Given
Cloud
the,
City, just
legality
grinding
of
away.
his work, but
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, because in the live action movies we really haven't seen a woman that is like
Yeah.
Han Solo
Yeah.
that I'll take that job and go steal that stuff.
Yeah.
And that would be kind of fun if it was a gritty lady.
Yeah. But I do like hearing all these casting reports that let us know that Episode 8 is going to have a little bit of a mirror of Episode
Yeah.
5, where we get to introduce two major new characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts or suspicions or desires about her character?
I do remember reading something that there was they were casting for a new female lead to be on that would share the screen with Finn a lot.
Right.
So I mean I think it would be something a cohort of that that sort of respect.
Yeah,
Yeah,
didn't
someone
one
from Finn's
article
past.
say that they were doing chemistry reads
Yeah.
with John Boyega and stuff like that?
But
So maybe,
not like romantic chemistry, but just
chemistry.
yeah.
So
just
if
straight up
she
chemistry
was
read,
the
yeah.
the Han Solo
Yeah.
to Finn, like I'd flip and love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd totally be on board with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
And you had to include this last one.
It is the most important piece of
Is-
Star Wars
yes.
news I've heard in quite some
breaking
time.
news. This is the creepiest
You heard it
Star
here
Wars
first.
product that you can get. It was announced that 2 Star Wars shower heads will allow you to. One will allow you to bathe in Vader's tears.
If you're watching on YouTube, we've got the picture up now.
It's the scariest thing. There's one of R2-D2, which is like, oh, it's just kind of a gimmick thing. But this one, the Vader one, you literally bathe in his tears.
It's what you wake up to every morning.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it would be super creepy if the fluid of the Vader shower head was just shooting out of his eyes, or just his mouth, but it is coming out of his entire face and
Face.
head from every angle. The dark side raining down on you. So if you guys could have any character besides Vader, R2-D2, spit and cry on you on your way to cleanliness, which Star Wars character?
I feel like you could make it a really efficient shower head out of a BB-8, because it's circular, so
Yeah,
like
it
from
is.
all angles. Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. So in terms of practicality, that would be my vote.
It'd be
I think.
like a water balloon grenade.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
exactly.
I'm gonna take this in a different direction, and I would say I'd like a shower head with dual settings. You know how some shower heads have different settings, and this would be a prequel trilogy shower head. It has 2 settings. It has a Qui-Gon Jinn setting and an Obi-Wan Kenobi setting. So whereas Qui-Gon he knows how I like to take a shower. He's very particular, but he's not afraid to go and find out if I'm having a bad day and if I need a different kind of shower. And where Obi-Wan's a little more loosey-goosey, maybe he'll switch up the water streams a little bit.
Literally just goes with the flow.
He goes with the flow, literally. Yeah.
He will spray on you from a different point of view.
So yeah, that's my dream. Made it a dream. Someone please make that for me.
Nice.
I think a Death Star one that just has an intense setting coming out of her laser.
Nice.
Yeah.
Or it has 4 beams that come out and
it leaves
spray.
red spots on you.
Yeah. Just super intense setting. Yeah, that would work.
I think I'd like Akbar, because he's all about moisture already.
That's true.
Just kind of bubbling out.
So is he talking to you as you're taking a
Yeah.
shower and just coming? Does he have to talk before the water comes out?
Yeah, I would like it if he announced how he thought the shower was going. Like, you're still dirty.
But the question is, would the water stop? Like if he stops talking at you?
I think it would like burble a little bit.
Simulate Bacta. Just like a weird slime on you. So it's just a little bit too warm.
Awesome. Well, I think that's all the important Star Wars news.
Goodbye, everybody.
Particularly the Vader showerhead. We like to cover a little bit of everything. Somebody put that on, a friend put that on my Facebook wall, and I felt like I couldn't contain the horror within myself, so I needed to broadcast it out.
What was that in the horror discussion?
We'll put it in the special edition of the podcast.
Perfect.
All right, so we're going to move on to talking a little bit about Rebels. We haven't got a chance to talk about Rebels a lot on the show. It's been back for a couple weeks now. We've had 2 episodes. Season 2 is in full swing. Emma, you are on the Afterbuzz Rebels show, so you are an expert, correct?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And Audrey, you just sort of mainlined this, right?
Yes, I did. In the last 3 weeks, I'm all watched
you
the latest episode last night.
Okay, so you watched it. You watched all of it in concentrated burst.
In concentrated bursts.
Cool. And I don't think Mark, you and I have ever got a chance to talk about your general feelings. I don't know how you generally feel about Rebels.
I love the story. I love that we're seeing a lot of new sameness. Sort of a thing. It feels familiar, and it's good. The one thing that took me a while to get a hold of and to really get used to was the animation style. It's an old animation technique in 2D where if everything looks like it's moving, then it looks like it's natural, but it's still that little bit of unnatural. But once I got used to that, it's flipping great. I love it.
That's so interesting that you bring that up, because that was one of the things that I actually loved about it off the bat was the animation style. I can't explain it. It's totally, it's totally just a subjective thing. Like I really like the animation style. I actually think that the design of the characters don't look that dissimilar from the kind of characters we see in the Disney Infinity stuff.
No, I agree. It's definitely, but there's a gloss about them that kind of resembles a toy. Yeah. So it makes them a little bit easier to market. I will say that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I love the character of Kanan.
Kanan's
so
a great character.
Great.
Yeah.
I love Kanan. I love Hera. So when you have those two sort of at the center of the rebel group, and you just have such an interesting foundation to stand on.
Yeah, and I love their relationship and respect for each other.
Yes.
Really good.
Going back to the look for just a minute, do you guys think it will keep evolving? Because I feel like season 2 already looks a little different, and I don't know if it's the technical animation style, but it seemed a little less toy, a little less pop and energy, and a little bit more cinematic. Like we got like great big wide shots of the planet.
Absolutely, like in the first couple episodes of this season. I mean, even the one where they're with Rex, Gregor, and Wolf. That scene with Hera in her ship with the planet behind her, and there's this kind of glow. It was really stunning, and with the Imperial walkers coming through the sandstorm, that was stunning, and that was very cinematic. And I wouldn't be surprised if it keeps evolving. That's what most shows do.
I hope so. Yeah, I have to ask this question to see if anybody else is pedantic like me. I like that it is based on the Macquarie designs.
Yes.
But it bugs me in a pedantic way that I'm not usually bugged that the lightsabers are skinnier.
So thin.
With the
they
weird
are
point.
skinny, aren't they?
A very thin
because
point
it
at the
makes me,
end.
we used to always do this on phones, and it makes me just want to reach the screen and just go, just make it a little wider.
A little wider.
A little wider.
It's true.
A little wider.
They are almost like, they're like rapiers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like they could like fence with these lightsabers.
Yeah, and I mean, I know it's all Macquarie design that they're going back to, but does that bug you, Mark, or do you not care?
It used to. I thought, you see Kanan fiddling with it all the time. Figure that one of these days he would just hit it and then it would go back to normal.
Yeah.
You get it on the right setting?
A different setting,
I think it'll probably go to that. I think throughout the life of the series, they might evolve into like a newer type of lightsaber, and they might. And I know Ezra's already made his, but if he went through the traditional way of making one, then it might be a little bit.
It does take me out every time they do like a close up and you see the little point at the end. It does take me out a little bit. And the only other thing that takes me out, the only thing I don't like about the animation is Kanan's eyebrows. They drive me crazy. It's so bizarre. It's such a small thing that doesn't really matter.
You got him done.
That's so interesting.
They're just a strange shape, and with this little, dip right here.
It might be because he's always scowling.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think that has more to do with his facial expressions than his actual eyebrows
it when
necessarily.
People scowl at me. It hurts my feelings. So maybe.
But you were just saying you like the character of Kanan despite his scowl.
Despite his, I love Kanan, and like Emma said, I love Hera. She's my other favorite.
Yeah. I think that Hera too is such a great example of a character whom both men and women really, really like. I think because she's just such a well-written character. She's absolutely the emotional intelligence of the group.
Right.
And I think, that I've encountered just as many guys as girls who Hera is their favorite character in the show.
I think, she brings this confidence that we haven't seen in a lot of female characters in the Star Wars world. Outside of Leia. Leia's super confident.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I that's why.
I think there's the feisty trope that people go to sometimes,
Yes.
and every once in a while they sort of mom her, like literally, and kind of call her the mom of the ship,
right?
Which I'm not sure about either. But I like that it's not the feisty trope.
Yeah.
I like that she is driven and determined, but very calm and purposeful.
Yes,
Yeah.
well, and that's the thing that I think does make her such a great character, particularly a great female character, is they're not afraid of embracing female traits with her, of having that
Especially
calm and caring motherly side
when
to her.
she guides Ezra.
Yes.
It is. There is a maternal quality to it, but and that doesn't mean that she can't turn around and shoot somebody in the face.
No, absolutely not. Yeah.
So
Like moms do.
Yeah, and that's,
like mothers do.
And that's the thing is, she falls into this great category of a realistic, complex female character rather than the sort of strong female character, quote unquote, trope that we see a lot, which I think you brought up the feistiness. That's something that we definitely see, and a lot of the time, that's all there is to them. They're just feisty, and they have no backstory. They have no other setting except maybe stubbornness.
Yes.
And we don't. I mean, Hera is definitely stubborn in her own way, but we don't see her fall into just that generic. She's tough.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's so true.
So how much have you guys watched the Clone Wars animated series?
I've watched Clone Wars. I don't think that you have to have seen all of Clone Wars to really enjoy Star Wars Rebels. And this may be controversial to say, there are really good parts about the Clone Wars.
That's not controversial.
Oh, no.
But there are parts that it's like a chore to get through.
Like the movie.
Yeah.
My opinion is that it just gets better and better. It starts off with some of the things that fans didn't like about the prequel movies, where there's some kind of goony humor in that. But I feel like it very quickly moves away from that. And I'm a huge fan of Clone Wars animated series, but I'm just curious that I'm thrilled because I'm a huge fan of it that they're so embracing that backstory in Rebels. And I was curious what people who aren't as attached to Clone Wars as I am maybe felt about the beginning of season 2 is this great Clone Wars dump, including smaller characters like Hondo and that. So what do you guys feel about that?
And the thing that I loved too is that what they're incorporating in Star Wars Rebels are just some of the most beloved characters from Clone Wars. I mean, I was thrilled to see Captain Rex come back because I loved his story arc in Clone Wars, and I think that he's just such an interesting character, and I like that they're bringing the clones in also to bring that conflict with Kanan.
Yeah.
I think I've said it before when I was here last time. I'll bring it for an example to like a Marvel movie. You have your Marvel fans that are going to see the movie, and they enjoy it, and they enjoy every single bit of every Easter egg, every little thing that other people, but then there's the person right next to them that doesn't know anything about the Marvel world that's having a grand old time too. And I think that's fine. That's what Star Wars Rebels, I think it's fine because I've only seen the first season of Clone Wars and I didn't know about Order 66 and I did go look it up, but I thought they explained it well when, the chip in my head and this is this. So if you hadn't seen Clone Wars, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine.
So fine.
I'll be so fine.
But if you have seen Clone Wars, you're going to be giddy. That they're So I think both sides win.
And I like that they're slowly getting into the canon through things like this, and there's bits of it in Chuck Wendig's Aftermath that the stormtroopers just aren't as good.
As
the clone troopers of we don't really need as good of an
Uh-huh.
army. We just need a lot of them, and they need to be scary.
That was a great line.
They're just numbers.
You're stormtroopers. And we were born for this. It's in our blood.
Yeah, and we did it forever, for real. Yeah, that's great. So, do you guys think that there will be any really explicit The Force Awakens hints coming up in Rebels? Now, it's not officially like a part of the journey to The Force Awakens that they're doing in the novels, but do you guys think that they will try to get little Easter eggs in?
I think if anything, we'll see stuff for Rogue One more so than we'll see for Force
Yes,
Awakens.
I actually would totally agree
I don't know
with
if there's
that.
anything that would last through 30 years for these characters that would affect the main canon. Really.
I mean, there's certainly a lot of fan speculation about it. Before our last Rebels show, we had people tweeting at us being like, "Have you heard this rumor theory?" I've heard both people speculating that Ezra will be Kylo Ren or that Kanan will be, and I'm like, I don't think that's going to be true.
That's a fun rumor, but the age doesn't match up.
Exactly.
How furious would the whole world be if Kylo Ren took off his mask and it was actually Ezra's animated face?
I thought you were going to say like Chopper.
Looks like Who Framed Roger Rabbit in Star Wars with the animated face shaking around. I'm kind of hoping that it's not as sort of like, ooh, look, we buried this clue. But just they're doing such a good job building the whole Star Wars universe, just like that Hera is Cham Syndulla from the Clone Wars daughter. And just the little things like it's not a plot point really, but it is just sort of knowledge that you can discover. And I hope there are things like that. I hope there are like little characters who have like maybe that's that guy's granddaughter or whatever.
Well, and vice versa. Like I would like to just see in Force Awakens little Easter eggs of like, oh, if you watch Star Wars Rebels, like this is a reference to that.
Right.
Or if you see like the Ghost crashed on Jakku.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
But then you're going to be sad for a long time because you don't know how and why the ghost.
But then you'll tune in every single week.
You win
to find out how we got there.
I know marketing.
You know Disney really well, and I feel like out of everything that we've seen, Rebels is the most where you can see the hand of Disney and the sort of
that's true.
interest in agenda. The characters do look more like toys. They're bright, especially the first season animation is clean and sharp. Do you think that they're going to want to, for lack of a better term, cross streams from Rebels to Rogue One, which does seem really natural?
I think they respect the Star Wars story so much, and all of the Clone Wars. The fact that they are bringing stuff back in, it makes me think that it would be a marketer's dream, because then you get to bring the young audience to this thriller movie that they may not necessarily get. But if you go, you'll see the ghost's going to show up, even if it's for like 5 minutes. You see them fly by, or you see them in the background of a meeting or something.
Yeah, maybe they're having a big rebel meeting and they're there, and I think so. Because they've already Vader's in Star Wars Rebels. Tarkin is a big part of this.
Yeah.
And they are talking about CGI and Tarkin, right, for Rogue One.
Yes.
And
that's just a rumor. We don't know that that's true or not.
Okay.
And hopefully they heard the cry of pain and fury from Star Wars fans, and we do not want to CGI Tarkin.
When Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Start. Why do I keep talking about Marvel? I'm sorry.
Well, no, but it's Disney. It's Disney.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a similar agenda.
It actually, their viewers went up, and the show got a little more meat to it when Captain America came out, and they were feeding each other. So I think if this is happening around the same time that Rogue One's happening, I think it'd be really fun, and I'd love to see that.
I was in the theater as the credits were rolling, and I was talking to my girlfriend, and we were like, what's going to happen on S.H.I.E.L.D.? What's going to happen on S.H.I.E.L.D.? So I think
like you said, watch every single
episode. So I think this will be something a little bit more for Rogue One, just because it matches time a little bit better.
Cool. So kind of going along with that, we've talked a little bit about the fate of Kanan and Ezra. And if Rogue One is the story of what do our heroes in the Star Wars galaxy do when they truly have no Jedi to rely on and it's their problem, is there tension between how fun and clean and Disney it is versus sort of the tragedy of the story that things can't work out super well for all of our characters? They just kind of narratively can't.
I think there is, and I think that's actually part of what is so good about the show, is because we're going into it knowing that there are these incredibly high stakes. You know?
Mm-hmm.
But what about all the kids that are being introduced to Star Wars with this? And are their hearts going to get broken and confused because they don't know all the stuff that's going on? And plus, I mean, it's a Disney show, and I know I've heard some people say it caters to kids, but I love it.
Yeah, I
but
do too.
I think it's incredibly dark and violent.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, when Inquisitor 1, you know, beheaded 2 people and
Yep.
a public speaking engagement.
Yep.
They have bombs going off. It's total guerrilla warfare. So as an adult watching this, I know that things may not go well in what's happening, but I'm curious, you know, what the little 7 and 8 year olds are their hearts going to get broken if something happens to these heroes in the future.
See, this is the thing is I think that Disney is doing a really good job of handling a show that ultimately has sophisticated storytelling for a kids show.
Yeah.
And they have, I mean, they're not gonna shy away from the sad ending that we're inevitably gonna get. And I think that that's actually something that is important to see in programming that's intended for younger audiences. And it's one of the things that I think, you know, shows that are for kids are doing particularly well these days is they're not afraid to incorporate some darker themes, and they have to do so in a kind of creative and sophisticated way because they can't just resort to mindless violence. Because it is for kids.
And in Star Wars Rebels, I mean, it's got more weight. The creators of the show and the writers of the show, they have more weight to tell a story the way they want to, as opposed to, say, some other shows on Disney where marketers may kind of needle you for more happy endings and such.
Right.
And this has such a established canon that they're probably allowed to do that. It is in the best interest of Disney to do that.
Yep.
Right.
And I also think just from the entire basis of the character of Kanan, they also wrote themselves an out. Because Kanan lived in hiding for years since Order 66.
Yep, exactly.
It could totally end with, we can't do this anymore.
Yeah, we gotta just...
Off the grid, we're done.
Yeah,
Can't
so
do
it could be a happy ending for the characters in that they just step away from the galactic
They may not
conflict.
die, but they just... 2 less Jedi.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like it's exactly. It's as you say. It's like it's a happy ending for the characters, but not happy for the state of the universe.
Yeah. I do like that it is the one kind of Star Wars thing we have out there right now that is good versus evil. Like the bad guys
straight up
are bad, and the good guys have problems, but they're good.
Yeah.
And I hadn't thought about it that way. I think that's a great point about the sort of complex problem solving.
Yeah.
I like that when they run into Vader, they say, we can't solve this problem.
Right.
There's no amount of pluck or reading inspirational quotes on Facebook that are going to solve this problem.
Yes.
We got to go think about this.
And I think they're setting up such a good conflict for this season because if they keep going forward in seasons, maybe you'll eventually get to that place where they all say, okay, that's enough, and maybe there's a happy ending. But right now, it's going to be super hard season.
Yep.
Vader's felt, Ahsoka's presence.
Yes.
He's on a mission, and I think it's going to get really rough this season before there is like they haven't been in this quandary before in all of season 1.
First season.
Yeah, they're certainly embracing the darkness, which is great.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts on Rebels before we move on?
Everyone watch it. It's so good. It's so
It's
good.
good.
No, it's interesting. When I watched the first it was like a television movie special that they aired to premiere the series. I was immediatally enthralled, and it just made me so excited about Star Wars again, basically. And I think that anybody that's feeling a little like, I don't know about Star Wars, and conversely for people who are getting excited about Force Awakens, and you're like, I need some really good Star Wars in my life. I can't recommend Rebels enough.
I can't either. I mean, because I was all in. I didn't know how I'd feel about it, but the first episode, I was all in. I love the story. I mean, they're doing the whole Joseph Campbell thing, which I love. The hero's journey.
Yeah.
And I was watching the latest episode last night, and my husband came home from work, and he's just in the kitchen. And he stops in the middle of preparing his dinner, and he stood there for it must have been the longest time with like a pot in his hand.
Yeah.
And then he started asking me questions. So I think it's just, you will be drawn in. It's wonderful. It's great.
Awesome. Awesome.
Better than Ewoks, I will say that.
It is a better cartoon than
in terms of story, this is the type of Star Wars animated series that I wish I had as like a young kid. But it scratches that Star Wars itch. We'll say that.
Yeah, I think it does a great job of walking the line of being attached to the main story, which back in the day when it was like droids and Ewoks were cartoons, where it's like, it was only interested in the very, very side adventures.
And you didn't really think about, like, is this canon? Is all of this Ewok stuff canon?
No, that did not cross your mind.
Yeah.
Don't think it crosses their mind either.
Nice to see stories that are for sure attached to the big things, but not the main characters.
And to use attached in a different way, I watched the first season of Clone Wars, but I didn't get attached to any of the characters like I did watching the first season of this. Like, I love that crew like I love the crew on Firefly. I just really like this crew, and I want them to succeed. I want them to win, and the storytellers do a great job.
And I think
of
it'll be much more attached when they spend more time on Hera and Sabine.
Yeah.
And we didn't get to learn as much about them in season 1, so I'm really excited.
I think we're
so.
definitely
Really,
more
really
about,
excited.
like, Mandalorian.
Yeah, absolutely.
They brought up specifically, here's some Mandalorian coordinates and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, cool.
Here we go.
See,
Here we
more
go.
of that.
I would definitely love to see more interaction between Hera and Sabine one-on-one in general, because they had that one episode in season 1 where they went down to the planet to get the supplies, and there were all the creepy monsters in the dark. Oh, it was so good.
Yeah, more horror and Star Wars.
Exactly.
Yeah, nice.
That was
There you
another
go.
terrifying scene.
So we're going to go from Rebels to our new segment, Mind Probe. And we asked, as we mentioned on the top of the show, just Force Awakens questions. And if you wanted to ask us anything for Mind Probe, go to our Facebook page at Jedi Alliance. We'll get started with Jasper Elwes. Which character who hasn't been confirmed do you want to show up in The Force Awakens, and which one don't you want to see?
Oh, man. It's already been confirmed that Lando's not going to be in Force Awakens, so that was the end of my dream right there. I need some Billy D. Williams in my life. Who do I not want to see? I mean, besides the obvious, nobody ever wants to see Jar Jar Binks again.
Yes, and I forgot to say that the person who asked this question said, please, Jar Jar's too easy of an answer. So.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll leave poor Jar Jar alone for now.
Gosh, who do I not want to see? I don't know. I don't know if I have a not. I'm gonna meditate on that a little bit.
Okay.
I'm with Emma. I actually found this question quite confounding.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of one for either, because if you had asked me a year ago, it'd be Leia. I want to see Leia. I want to see Han and Leia. Well, guess what? I got that.
Yeah. So you got everything you want.
And I can't think of somebody that I don't want to see either.
Awesome. Well, that's nice and positive. Cool. Mark, who do you want to see?
To be perfectly honest, I would like to see Jar Jar Binks in this movie. I would like to see an elder statesman who's finally all of his wisdom and time has caught up with him. He right before he sort of starts to bumble, like he pulls himself back, composes himself, is like I apologize, and he's just the representative from Naboo who has been through. I think that's a
great idea.
Everything.
Nice.
Yeah, that
Nice.
actually,
That's a great
you know
idea.
what? I take back not wanting to see Jar Jar in the movie now. That's a very good point.
And I'd
that.
also not want to not see anybody.
Yes.
Why limit? Why limit yourselves? I'll see anybody.
Yeah.
I'll see the second Jawa from the left.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
I would like to see Yoda's Force Ghost, because we got to see Obi-Wan give Luke advice. I'd like to see Yoda give Luke advice. That's not a prediction. That's just a desire.
Yeah.
That's what I would like to see. And I will agree with everyone else. I don't want to see bad Jar Jar. I want to see old, noble Jar Jar. So we're running short on time, so we're going to round robin these a little bit. So Everett Higby said, which character in The Force Awakens will lose his, her her hand or arm?
I'm going to say Chewbacca because I would love to see how they do a cybernetic prosthetic arm for a Wookiee.
Oh yeah, maybe he can just attach his bowcaster.
Yeah, perfect. Love
Then
it.
it'd be like Star Wars Ash, where he has his bowcaster.
Yeah, Chewbacca versus Evil Dead.
I love it. The funny thing is, I was gonna say maybe Rey, just because we haven't had a girl lose a limb. You know?
If she is the Skywalker, that holds weight too, because that's the symbol of losing some of your humanity.
Exactly.
Mark, do you have any thoughts?
So I'd go with that, Rey.
Yeah.
I think Finn looks like in the new trailer that he might be about to lose something to Kylo Ren. So I think Finn is a very good possibility if he is just the guy who's holding the lightsaber but not actually a Force user. Or I thought maybe Akbar, because also I thought it'd be fun to see, a non-human hand.
Yeah, it's possible. Lawrence London asked, we all have fallen in love with the cuteness of BB-8, but how do you think the public will react if he turns out to be a first-order spy
I'll
droid?
tell you. I'll answer this question. I'll tell you how they'll react. There'll be mass protests. There'll be objects thrown through windows. People's heads will explode. They'll be like, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. I will take a hammer and crush my remote-controlled BB-8 toy, crying, saying, "Why did you do this to me? Why did you do this to me?" And then I would have a stroke.
That would honestly be the cruelest fake out ever.
Yes. I don't think they'll do it. But it'd be really funny if the actual BB-8 toys, all of them that we bought, do have cameras. And they're like,
No, it's like that Treehouse of Horror where it's got like an evil and good switch on the back, like secretly under the thing. It was here the whole time.
I should have turned it off. All right. So Eric Colt says, who is on your can absolutely not die list for The Force Awakens? Who do you guys want to see not die? There's been a lot of predictions that one of the original trilogy will go.
I can't handle if Leia dies.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
That would be too hard for me. I might have a stroke then,
Okay,
too.
yeah. I think Leia is the least likely to die.
Well, thank you for saying that.
I think because Harrison Ford has expressed desire for it, going back 30 years, I think that's a possibility. But I would be the most bummed if Luke died. Because I am starting to get concerned that since the story appears to be the Surge, that we're not going to get to spend much time with him in this movie. So I'd love for him to continue.
Yeah.
I'm going to say the first droid romance in the galaxy, C-3PO or R2.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they're here. They are the storytellers and the keepers of the tale of the Skywalkers.
There would be a lot of crying for that for sure.
And hopefully,
that would kill
BB-8's not responsible if he is the evil one that we all think, or hope that he isn't. And our last question: we just got this bombarded on the page. Do you think Luke has turned to the dark side or not?
I've been hearing a lot about this.
Yeah, there's been a lot of debate. So just sort of quick yes or no.
No.
I'm just gonna say no. I've got my feelings.
Yeah, I think that there could be a plot where he is playing with it. That's been an expanded universe before, that he is experimenting with it for good purposes. Mm-hmm. But I hope, I'm not going to make a prediction, I hope he does not turn to the dark side.
I wouldn't rule out like being tempted and temptation, or like you said, playing with it. But no.
Absolutely. No. All right, so Duel of the Fates, our final segment. We do a little dance. Woo! Which is actually better when it's sped up, I think. So this is great. Last week's question was, if you could be trained by any Jedi, who would you want to be trained by? We got a lot of votes for Luke, Yoda, Mace, Obi-Wan. Strangely, 3 or 4 votes for Kit Fisto. He's smiley.
He's chill.
He's chill. He smiles a lot. But the winner, by a large margin, was Qui-Gon Jinn.
Nice. Definitely.
Nice.
Absolutely.
And
he's going to be my shower head.
Exactly.
It's all good.
A shout out to Andreas Elkin Steinhardt, 1, for having a cool name, and 2, their quote, definitely Qui-Gon. He sensed that something was wrong with the Jedi, and he found the one person who would bring balance to the Force, although it took a detour. Indeed.
Yep.
Yeah,
very true.
Could say that.
But for this week's Duel of the Fates, who would you rather get life advice from, Han or Leia?
We answer this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Leia, for sure.
Leia.
Yeah, I was going to say Leia.
I was gonna say Han because he seems like he's more street smart.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
He's been to more systems.
It's true.
I think Leia's advice would have more gravitas.
Yeah,
just like in the trailer when
Yeah.
she speaks at the end. You can just hear it in her voice.
Yeah.
I would just believe everything she tells me.
Yeah, I feel like Han is going to have aged into a wise man in The Force Awakens, as we saw in that trailer, but I think he still might make that man noise he made in Return of the Jedi. We just went,
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
He'll teach me how to handle myself in bars across the galaxy.
Yes.
Which
He will.
ultimately
Sure.
You can learn a lot from him.
Very hard choice though.
So we'll put that question out to you on Facebook tomorrow, and you can answer whether Leia or Han would give the best advice and why. We are going to wrap up. Guest, could you please plug your social media presences?
Yes, I am Emma Fyffe. You can follow me all over the internet at Emma Fyffe. It is my name, EMMAFYFFE. That is all F's as in Fred, no S's as in snake. They tend to sound the same on the phone or when you record them. It's always interesting when someone's made a hotel reservation for me over the phone.
And Audrey.
You can find me at Audrey Kearns, as Kearns all over, and then on Instagram I have an underscore after Kearns because some other lady beat me to it. I know, it was kind of mean. It hurt just a little bit.
Excellent. I'm Joseph Scrimshaw. All my social media is at Joseph Scrimshaw. I have one thing I'd like to plug this week. I'm going to be at Kamikaze this weekend doing a couple of panels. In particular, I'm doing a comedy quiz show called Attack of the Star Wars Comedy. Audrey's going to be on it.
Oh, nice.
Ken Knapsack, Hal Lublin, lots of cool people, and it will be just all sorts of Star Wars comedy. Find out about that at my website at josephscrimshaw.com.
Yeah, and I'll be at Kamikaze too, so check out
GeekGirlAuthority.com
for the schedule.
And I'm the Internet Soapbox Mark. You can find me here, all sorts of stuff at Popcorn Talk Network, all sorts of stuff at AfterBuzz TV, a lot of new shows debuting this week, so follow me on Twitter at SoapboxMark for all of that information.
Thank you for watching and or listening to Jedi Alliance. You can visit PopcornTalkNetwork.com to find a nice list of all the past episodes of Jedi Alliance and links to both YouTube and iTunes. Please also follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Jedi Alliance for all the us-related news. This has been Jedi Alliance on the Popcorn Talk Network. We talk movies. Thank you for listening, because many Bothans died to bring us this information.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.